Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back. We got a good one today. We're talking about beating credit card debt. Okay, so potentially we're going into a recession soon and interest rates are going up. And if your credit card is a variable credit card, variable interest rate credit card, that means that your interest rate on your credit card is going up, which means your debt's going to grow faster now. Okay, we were in a zero interest rate environment, meaning that your credit card was at its lowest. Now we shall see. Okay, so now we're already at 1% federal rate. So what that means is potentially your credit card could go up 1 to 3% already. All right, so you might start seeing those increased payments, minimum payments. All right, so we need to beat this credit card debt. All right, so there's a free book. Grab that, grab the article, read it, understand it, and keep looking for more info because you have to get out of credit card debt. Okay, me and my wife are debt free, credit card debt free, thank goodness. But at some point in our lives we had like $40,000 of credit card debts, and I'll explain why. Right, we didn't buy anything crazy. We weren't buying purses and all that madness. I'll explain exactly why we got in that debt. Okay, this is trying to live a normal life and things that start racking up out of control. Okay, so I'll explain what the crux, because now I know in clarity how that happened. All right, so but we'll get into that. So let's start. Okay, we talked about the recession. Okay, so the first question you got to ask is, why am I in credit card debt? Okay, so to get to the root of any question or any problem, you ask why 5 times. Okay, so you keep asking why until you get to the bottom. All right, so this might sneak up on you. Why? Because you seem like you're living a normal life, and you're not doing anything crazy. You're not going to Vegas on the weekends or vacations randomly. You're saving your money, but you keep racking up credit card debt. Okay, so that means you have a hole in your wallet somewhere. That means something is draining your resources. It's not adding up. Okay, you can put everything down, but you won't understand what you're looking at. Okay, so the best book that I've read that can clarify where your hole is, oh, that sounds bad, where the hole in your pocket is this book called All Your Worth. All Your Worth. Okay, so I'll try to drop that in the description. Okay, it's by Elizabeth Warren, the senator. Okay, so she was a big financial person, and she does a lot for our society for debt, related to debt. Okay, so Elizabeth Warren, it's an older book, 2005, 2006. Okay, but it's the best book I've read that clearly delineates what your problem going to be. All right, and this is when I kind of clearly delineate what my problem was. All right, back in 2008. Okay, now she breaks it down in 3 easy steps. This is, you have 100% income, right? So 50% of your income should go to mandatory expenses. All right, so those are recurring payments, usually loan payments. Okay, student loans, cars, mortgages, even your gym membership. All right, mandatory. You have no options. You have to pay this stuff. All right, 20% should go to savings. Savings. Okay, now 30% should be optional stuff. Okay, so that can be not your base level of food, but your higher level thing, maybe eating out, maybe extra cereal, whatever it is. So your basic food goes into your mandatory budget. Okay, so now think about it, 50%. Okay, depending on how much money you make, that might not be a lot of money. So if you're making $5,000 a month, that's $2,500. Okay, now how myself and my wife, how we got in credit card debt. When we bought our house in 2008, it was way more than 50%. Okay, so again, it wasn't just the house, it's everything. Because I remember back then, our utilities and all that stuff was like $800 a month. Okay, and the house payment was $1,800. Okay, so my housing allowance for the military was $1,200. So I'm already over what the military says I should be spending on housing. And then have another $800. Okay, so then cars, we had paid off cars, but you still have gas, maintenance. Okay, so what was happening is let's just say we were making, I was a staff sergeant, E6 at the time. So that's to say combined we were making like $7,000 a month, right? Probably wasn't, I don't know. I can't do math back then. 2008. So how many years ago that was? That's to say $7,000. All right. Just the house and everything else. It was up there. Okay. And so what happens is on the backside of your pockets, you're going to rack up credit card debt. Okay. So if you're spending, 75% on all this other stuff, you're doing your like little minimum TSP savings somewhere, somehow, then you're going to be, your optional stuff is going to go on your card. Oh, hey, we want to shoot down to Vegas for 2 days. I was in Arizona, so Vegas was like 4 hours away. Okay, cool. It's going to be $200. Okay, cool. That's not bad. Okay. But in order to pay off credit card debt, you have to have more money. Right? So that 20% savings should have been going to my credit card debt. But I was barely saving like 5% back then. All right. I didn't know. I wasn't sophisticated. What should have happened was we shouldn't have bought that house. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. I'm not looking back and saying it's a regret. I had our second kid in that house, and we still have it. We had a lot of good memories, lots of good memories on the house, lots of good memories. But again, what I know now is I would have bought a super small house. Back then, the mortgage rates were 6%. At some point, they got down to almost 2%. Now they're back up to like 5%. But back then, 2008, so, top of the market plus a high mortgage rate. Okay. So, I did as much due diligence as I knew to do. But, when you do mainstream due diligence, it's basically buy your house. It's your forever house. Do whatever it takes to get into your house. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's why I do videos and stuff like that. Because mainstream is going to set you up for failure. Okay, so do that math. Read that book. See, like, seriously, that's probably one of my top 3 financial books, because it clearly delineates, a place to start. You can look and be like, okay, well, my mandatory expenses are 75%. What can I cut? Do I need to sell my car? Do I need to move houses? Do I need to get a roommate? All right, so once you balance that out, and then you don't have to spend 30% on optional, but things arise, especially you have kids, school, pictures, they want stuff for their food, for lunch, clothes, yada, 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 right? So if you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. So again, read that book, All You're Worth. That's probably the best book for your journey, because a lot of books go into paying off debt and saving, but you have to have that baseline. Where am I bleeding? Where's the hurt coming from? Okay, and you need to be able to lay out exactly where your income's coming at. Okay, now getting out of debt. Whose method do I recommend? Okay, there's 2 books, 2 people, right? So there's Dave Ramsey. Okay, so he's gonna say save $1,000 first. Then start paying off your credit card debt using a small snowball effect. Pay off the credit card, whichever one that you feel. It doesn't. I don't want to speak for him, but in my opinion, it doesn't really matter, right? You can pay off the small ones and get that boost, that mental boost, and then pay off the next one and use that to pay off the next one. Whatever, how many you have, right? So whatever you want to do. So there's many books on that. Once you have the mindset of paying off debt, it's not bad. Dave Ramsey says it's the average family can pay it off in 3 years. So no matter how big it is, like how big your debt is, you can get it done. You can get it done rather quickly, right? You just got to focus on it. You got to you have to go through a season where you're not going to be going out, but it's okay. On the other end, your life is completely different. That's why if you look at the cover of this book, it's a rain cloud and a rainbow, because it's like if you watched Wizard of Oz, and it starts off in black and white, and then 25% into the movie, she goes to a different land. It's all in color. That's literally how it is when you get out of debt. You just look at your bank account and be like, I have options, right? It's night and day. And when you're in debt for so long, you don't even know, you can't even consider what life is without debt. But it takes sacrifice. All right, you're not going to get out of debt by just, I read somewhere that if you spent like $4,000 on you had a kid, you spent $4,000 up front, getting the room set up, and then you paid the minimum payments, the kid would graduate college before you paid it off. All right. So, and there's a reason for all that, and I'll get into that later. Okay, so getting out of debt. Dave Ramsey is a good one, and a book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Okay, I don't want to butcher his name, but it's Ramit Sethi, something like that. I Will Teach You to Be Rich is a good one. All right, that was the first financial book I read. So then after that, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay, but so I will start with All Your Worth, and then I'll read one of those two or both. The more options the more you read, the more options, and you'll find a way or a combination of ways that will get you to where you need to go, right? You can create your own path, right? That's all people are doing. They create their own path and they share their path. They brand it, and you can follow their path by the book. But the reality is yours is gonna be somewhere in the middle, right? Everything's different. But Dave Ramsey has a lot of success, right? Okay, so now, should you consolidate debt? Consolidating debt makes things easy. That's what we did, right? After we made the decision to stop using credit cards. And so this is what I did. Before I consolidated debt, I went 6 months without using my credit card. Okay, so I deleted all my information off of Amazon. I left my cards inside the house, right? We got roommates back in 2019, right? So we had that extra cash flow. We had a couple bills, hanging around the house. So for everything else. So once we got that, and then once we got the roommates and we made the commitment, we didn't find ourselves using credit cards anymore. Okay, so then after about 6 months of that, we just consolidated it. Right, we just snowball affected, and a lot of that was we also had car payments and stuff like that. And then our AC blew up in our Arizona house, so that was like $7,000, and it was fine. It was like literally from the time we started, and with everything, with the cars and everything, it was like $77,000. Less than 2 years paid off, while saving and investing. So it moves fast once you're serious, right? But you have to do what it takes. It's going to make you uncomfortable. And you should be able to look at your friends and be like, no, I don't want to go out, right? You shouldn't feel bad about that. You should be like, I don't have any money, okay? Most people don't have money, by the way. Most people are struggling, so you'll be right there with them, but you'll be paying yours off, okay? And you'll be surprised once you pay everything off and you start having investments and savings. People are going to turn on you and say, oh, well, this is why, and your husband's job, or, your wife's job, and this is why you're out of debt. No, it's not. It's because I sacrificed. That's it. We made a conscious effort to make a change, and we're sticking by that. Okay. And then, so you consolidate debt, not unless after you go 6 months without using your credit card. Because what's the main danger of consolidating debt? You consolidate $30,000 of debt, you get it down to 7% interest, 8% interest, everything's going good, you have your one payment. All you got to do is pay your $700, $800. You have a set deadline of 5 years. You don't have to worry about anything. Until what? Until you start using your credit card again. Now you have your $30,000 loan plus credit card debt. You don't want to do that. So you want to prove to yourself that you don't have it. Now, again, you want to have maybe save up. You might say, hey, I don't want to use a credit card for 6 months, plus I have my $1,000 savings, $2,000 savings. That way you have an extra layer of buffer before you consolidate. Consolidating is good once you're mature and you've went down the path and you're committed. If you're trying to take the easy way out, consolidating is horrible because you're going to have all your credit cards, right? Should you cancel your credit cards? They say don't cancel your credit cards. I can carry all the credit cards I want now. I could be on Amazon with all my information in there. I have no urge to spend at all. And why is that? So that's my last point. Should you invest while paying down debt? Okay, Dave Ramsey, most of the mainstream are going to say no. I say yes. Not investing a lot. Not investing a lot. But after you pay off your first credit card and say that puts $200 back in your wallet, putting $50 aside for investing is important. Why? Yes, people talk about interest rates and people talking about, you're going to be burned. However, there's a huge mindset between paying off debt, becoming a saver, and becoming an investor. Okay? Most mainstream books teach you how to be a saver. Okay, which is great. But that's still going to leave you hanging in the long run. If you can become an investor, you're going to understand money. And you'll never put yourself back in that position because you understand what it is. Okay, an investor understands compound interest. That's the difference. They understand the power of compounding. Okay, savers, they understand money, but they understand time and money. Meaning, I know how to save. I need a lot of time to get where I need to go. Investors look at it and say knowledge, they use their education and money to go further, right? To multiply, to speed things up. All right, so when you're learning how to invest and you put your $50 a month into AT&T, and then every 3 months you get a kick out, you get a payout, you're like, whoa, this is awesome. I'm getting free money. My money's compounding. I want more of that goodness. And then you understand what credit cards and debt really is. Is the banks are getting dividends from you. They're compounding against you, and then you get mad. You're like, wait, hold on. So now I'm giving them dividends? I want my dividends. So then you don't truly understand what credit card is until you start building up your own interest and your own dividends. Then you're like, whoa. Then you understand how come the credit card debt is like that, where I can't pay it off when I pay my minimums, because it's compounding. It's not simple math. Simple math is you borrow $10,000, you pay $1,000 a month, whatever interest rate, and then it gets paid off. Compounding is whatever the amount is, and whatever it grows, it stacks on top. So if they add $25 to your every month to your credit card, that $25 compounds. And now you're paying that percentage on that $25, which is why you keep running after it. Okay, so investors understand that. So I'm not saying if you can become an investor, you're going to pay off your debt quicker because of your mind. Your mind is going to expand because you're going to ask the question, okay, how do I make more money? Not time. The simple mind says, okay, I owe $100,000. I owe $100,000 in debt. I could pay $2,000 a month. Got it. So I need 50 months. I'm done. Great. Okay. Now, the compounding mind, the growth mindset says different. It says, okay, I have $100,000 to pay off. I want to pay it off in 2 years. Go. Figure it out. Do you see the difference? Now you're like, okay, roommate, can I rent my car on the weekends? Can I rent my garage? Can I rent my parking space? Can I get a storage shed? Can I hustle? Can I do YouTube? Can I whatever, consult anybody? Start a baking business. What can I do to pay this off? And you'll keep compounding and compounding and compounding your mind. You'll start reading books and you'll come up with a solution. You will literally figure it out. Trust me, if I could, when I first started, and I don't know where I am minute-wise, when we first started, the first time I started learning about compound interest and all that stuff was June 2019. I was at 20 years in the military. And I'm like, okay, cool. My goal is at my 30-year mark, I'm going to have $100,000 in the bank. I thought that was going to be a huge accomplishment. I was like, man, Yeah, that's 10,000. 10,000. That's literally what I thought. That's 10,000 a year. Okay, that's like $800 a month. I can do it. We can do it. And that was a lot of money back then. I was like, oh man, $800 a month. Right? I did that in less than 2 years. Now I'm shooting for $1 million by 30-year mark. Hell, before that, well before that. It would have stock market degrees with us. Right? So that's the power of compounding. Read a lot of books, take it seriously, and your mind will figure it out. We don't use most of our mind. It can store a lot of stuff, and it does all the math in your head, and it will spit you out an equation or something to do, and you just got to stay on the path, and it will compound right in front of you. It might mean, hey, if we sell our house, take that, pay off our debt, move into our apartment for 2 years, start this investing thing, put ourselves on a better straight, but then at least we're out of debt. And trust me, when you get that credit card from working against you to dividends working for you, it's a whole different life. Me and my wife had $950 of dividend income, and overall passive income last month was like $3,500 with rent and books and everything else. It's nice. We don't worry about anything. People at my wife's job worried about money. This. People at my job worried about money. I'm not worried about anything. Right? I'm just staying on the path. I'm staying humble. I'm not spending money on stuff like that. Like, it takes me forever to even buy a video game now. I'm like, okay, I'm like praying to should I buy a video game? Because I just don't want to spend the money. Right? Even with dividends. Because I ask myself, do I really need this? Do I have time to play it? Right? So anyway, so that's credit card debt. All right, so those are 3 books. All You're Worth. Dave Ramsey. Any of the Dave Ramsey books. Okay, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Read those books, especially All You're Worth. Figure out your 50%. So there's all those equations in there. If you're not writing stuff down, you're not going to be successful. Right? You have to write all this stuff down. I keep meticulous spreadsheets. Now, I used to be even worse, but now I combine them all, and now I have a plan, a budget plan. I have a budget spreadsheet, and I have a dividend spreadsheet, and I have like a net worth kind of thing. Right? And I'm always in those things, especially the budget one. I'm always in there. Right? Budget will set you free. It seems restricting, but it sets you free when, I put $3,000 a month into my budget account just for budgeting, just for stuff. Okay, right? When I first started, that was paying off debt and everything else. I had like a couple $100 left. Now my budget, all my mandatory expenses are like $900. The rest is getting invested right off the rip. That's before and I have like all these different allotments everywhere, and they're all going purely to investments. You start talking about saving 3, 4, 5, investing $1,000 a month, right? My wife's saving over $1,000 a month from her job. Okay, a month. There's people in America that don't have $1,000 in savings now. We're talking about a month. So it's possible. Trust me, I'm still working. I'm still working full time. I'm a grinder, right? So if I can do it, you can do it. Beat credit card debt. Take it seriously. Take notes. When you read these books and they have all these equations, learn them. I skim over them because I know them. But at some point I didn't. All right. So anyway, grab the book, read that, read my book. It's free. And then read these other books. And I got my reviews up. Take this stuff seriously. Money, at first, it will seem like it's consuming you. It should. But once you get on track, it falls to the back, right? And then it's optional. You can be on autopilot. I choose because, I'm going above and beyond and I'm writing about stuff. But to spend the 3 years highly concentrated on your finances, people are going to say you changed and everything else. That's fine, right? Get your spouse on board. Talk nothing but money. And then after that, your life will open up and then you don't have to worry about money anymore. Then it's on autopilot. right? You'll get your paycheck, you auto invest it into the stock market, you auto invest it into your savings, your high yield savings, and you just keep going. You're not going to worry about anything, and then you'll have money for yourself. Okay, with that, thank you. I'll see you next week. Bye.